Fascinating stack of sources for today's deep dive. And it's a perfect example of how wildly diverse information can be even when it lands in your lab all at once. Our mission today really is to extract the core insights, the real nuggets of knowledge from this incredibly varied material.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the journey we're about to take. I mean, we're going from a really high-stakes geopolitical debate,
Hmm.
where the very framing of information is, well, it's almost a weapon, to a very practical consumer device
Yeah,
where marketing shapes perception. It kind of raises an important question, doesn't
it
it?
does.
How do we extract value and understanding from sources that seem to be on, like, opposite ends of the information spectrum?
Hmm.
But maybe they use similar techniques to grab our attention.
You've hit on the core challenge there, extracting value when the subjects are just so incredibly different. And that's precisely our mission today. Connect the insights from a highly controversial government memo with a deep dive into a consumer tech product, no matter how disparate they seem at first glance. We're looking for the patterns, right? The patterns in how information gets presented across all these different contexts. Okay, so the primary document you provided kicks things off with a very strong statement. It describes a secret memo going around the State Department as, and this is a quote, stabbing Donald Trump not in the back but in the face with a secret memo that they're using to destroy America. That certainly sets a dramatic tone.
It really does. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the document itself is identified as a draft dissent channel memo.
Mhm.
Now, for you listening, it's important to understand what that is. A dissent channel is this unique official State Department thing.
Mhm.
It allows diplomats to voice serious policy disagreements directly to the higher-ups without, fear of reprisal.
Oh, okay. So not just random complaining.
Exactly. It wasn't just informal grumbling. It was a formal internal challenge to policy.
Hmm.
And this specific memo opposed President Donald Trump's executive orders to temporarily halt immigration.
Right. And the order itself, signed on a Friday apparently, put a temporary stop to refugees and immigrants from, let me see, Iraq, Somalia, Sudan, Iran, Syria, Libya, and Yemen. These were identified as 7 Muslim-majority countries. And it was framed as temporary, right? Like 90 to 120 days, meant to reassess the vetting process.
That was the framing. And in response to State Department employees arguing for a reversal, the White House press secretary at the time, Sean Spicer, well, he's quoted in your material stating, and this is another quote, "These career bureaucrat rats have a problem with it. I think they should either get with the program or they can go."
Wow.
Yeah, the language there is quite striking, really aiming to delegitimize the dissent.
Definitely. Okay, so now let's turn to the memo itself. Politico and the Lawfare blog apparently got hold of it. What were the actual core arguments it put forward against the executive order?
Well, the memo makes several key arguments. First, it claims the immigration ban will threaten our standing with America's Muslim allies because it will be viewed as religiously motivated.
Mm-hmm.
Second, it argues that by alienating them, we lose access to the intelligence and resources we need to fight the root causes of terror abroad before an attack occurs within our borders. Makes sense.
Okay, so national security implications from their
Yeah.
perspective.
Right, and the memo also states it will increase anti-American sentiment.
Hmm.
Talks about the 220 million citizens of these countries losing the chance to travel to the U.S. overnight, leading to, growing hostility.
Mm.
And finally, the officials who drafted it also say the ban will damage the U.S. economy.
Mm.
They say the end result will not be a drop in terror attacks to the United States. Rather, it will be a drop in international goodwill towards Americans and then a threat towards our economy.
So a pretty comprehensive critique. Foreign relations, security, public image, economy. The memo certainly lays out its case in stark terms. How does the material you sent us, which seems to have a very different take, directly counter or dismiss those specific points?
That's a crucial question, yeah. The material you provided, it asserts the ban is only temporary, 90 to 120 days just to reassess vetting. It suggests everyone just needs to chill out. And it poses these rhetorical questions like, why is that our problem? Can't we just lock things down, get things organized, and then reopen?
Yeah.
It continues, so everyone can travel here and, exploit our resources, exploit our freedom, and escape the tyranny of their own nations. Can we just wait?
Exploit our resources. That's interesting phrasing.
Very loaded phrasing, yes. And crucially, the material also uses highly charged and dismissive language elsewhere. It describes the countries in question as death spots and third world toilets. And it characterizes the officials who drafted the memo as holdovers in the Obama administration causing trouble, not towing the line that they should for their administration, unquote. So this rhetorical approach, it clearly aims to delegitimize the memo's arguments, often by sort of dehumanizing or discrediting the people making them.
Wow, that is incredibly strong language, isn't it? It really underscores the emotional intensity around this topic. It's way beyond just, simple policy disagreements. So, what does this all mean for you as you're processing such different perspectives on just one policy? It highlights not just the breadth of viewpoints, but the intensity and the framing used to try and sway opinion.
Okay, so we've just dissected a politically charged source, one that uses incredibly strong, often inflammatory language to frame a government memo. It's a powerful example of how rhetoric shapes narratives. And speaking of powerful claims and persuasive language, your source has also included something at the complete opposite end of the spectrum, almost. But it's equally illustrative, I think, of how information is presented. A discussion about a product called the Tiger Stream streaming device.
Right, the Tiger Stream. This device is highlighted mainly for its ability to save money, specifically by getting rid of cable. It's presented as a way to cut the cord for good and no longer pay subscription for cable.
The dream for many people. Yeah. Exactly. The material describes it as a really handy device that allows you to stream live content straight to your TV. And it calls it the best media streaming Android device that I've ever used. High praise. According to your information, you can watch every game that you could imagine and access every movie ever made since the 1930s.
Every movie since the 1930s. That's quite a claim.
It's a huge claim, yeah. It's also claimed to literally pay for itself in just a few months, making it one of the best options for a direct cable or satellite replacement box. Now, these are powerful promises, obviously. For you, the listener, it's probably worth noting that devices making such broad claims, well, they often operate by aggregating content from various online sources, which can sometimes raise important questions about, content licensing or maybe the network requirements needed to actually deliver on all those promises.
Right, the fine print, potentially. It almost sounds like a revolutionary shift, though, doesn't it, the way it's presented? For you, listening, what's crucial here isn't just what the device promises, but how a product like this positions itself in this rapidly evolving content landscape. Is this a genuine game changer, like the source says? Or is it just another product leveraging that big move away from traditional cable, maybe with its own set of potential trade-offs that aren't really highlighted by the material?
It definitely sounds like a direct challenge to the traditional media ecosystem. And for you, the listener, it might make you wonder about the broader economic implications, for content creators, for distributors, not to mention the potential regulatory landscape for devices making such bold promises.
Absolutely. So what an incredible journey through your sources today, seriously. From a deep dive into differing views on immigration policy right within the government, to the practicalities of cutting your cable cord with a streaming device. We've seen how varied the information landscape can be, that's clear. But maybe more than that, we've seen how both types of content, despite their completely different subject matter, strategically employ persuasive tactics and strong language to shape perception.
Yeah, this deep dive really illustrates that information, whether it's about policy or, a product, often comes with embedded perspectives and a clear intent to influence. Material you sent us, for instance, it concludes by stating, you possess the power to impact the global narrative. Please share this report. Which raises an important question for you to consider, I think.
What's that?
How does understanding the mechanisms of influence, the techniques used within wildly different types of information, how does understanding that help you better navigate and engage with the world around you? To look beyond just the surface claims and truly make your own informed decisions.
That's a great final thought. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep those sources coming and keep exploring.